This week on Nintendomain for episode 101, let's unite hands, or unite forms, and do some wonderful 101 shit.
I'm going to forgive bad controls because just one guy made a game.
I settled for good enough on Zelda.
So, like, do I say something there? So I missed my point, my part.
Go for it. I'll edit it together later. So yeah, go ahead and say something now. Or do we need to like lead you into it or something?
Man, just like say anything at all. Like,
well, you don't have to. We can just go to.
You can even just be like, "Hey, I'm here guesting" or something like that. You could say that too.
All right, sure, yeah, all right. I'll just say that. Hey, I'm Justin from World 9 Gaming on YouTube, and I'm here guesting this week.
Cool.
Yeah,
all right. All right. Welcome to Nintendomain Podcast. This is episode 101. We have a special topic for that, of course, but let's so anyway, we're your hosts. I'm Trey what the fuck's his name? I was gonna have one of those dudes on the
Brawl out.
I'm Trey Wonder Kabuki Johnson.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm Jeremy. I think I'm stuck in Zelda. Mikowski.
I'm John Adequate 100 Knitter.
And we have a guest this week. Justin, say hello and go ahead and plug like all the stuff you do and all that stuff. We'll do it at the top, do it at the end, We'll
yeah, sure. Yeah, my name's Justin Vega. To be honest, I have my YouTube channel, World 9 Gaming. It's something I started, a while ago, and I actually have some experience in gaming in general. I used to work for a video game magazine, Pure Nintendo, as well as a Let's Play magazine. But between college and just kind of adult life, I don't have nearly as much time with my YouTube as I used to. But hopefully, I can find time to kind of get back into it when I can.
So, did you ever make anything off of YouTube?
I always started my YouTube as just kind of like a side hobby, and other things that always came along, related to that industry just kind of happened to line up, but I wouldn't really equate it to my YouTube channel directly.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious because I do the YouTube thing kind of for fun, but it'd be cool if watched it. Like a lot of it's just me, just having fun with old games that I really like. But
right.
Sometimes people watch it. I'm just always curious because we have a monetizing thing or whatever, but I've never seen a cent from it.
Yeah. To be honest, I think by far the most popular videos on my channel were my Super Mario Maker videos. I have
cool.
I have a big passion for really any game that allows me to create. So I was really big into Little Big Planet. And, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I think I'm really good at those kind of games. So I've created some sort of crazy contraptions in Super Mario Maker, and I was surprised to see just how many views some of those levels got.
I don't personally watch a whole lot of video game streamers, but I do watch a lot of Mario Maker. There's a select few people, I think, really do a good job of recording and commentating on those videos. And I find them I've been maybe for over a year. I've been watching all these different Mario Maker videos. It just always surprises me what people come up with.
Oh yeah, there's so many little caveats and just techniques that the developers certainly did not plan for. That people just find a way to just finagle, which I think is so awesome and so fun.
Oh yeah.
Until Nintendo nerfs it.
They haven't
sometimes.
I'm surprised that they haven't, out of all the stuff that I put on YouTube, the only thing that got taken down was a Tony Hawk video and a podcast episode that I did about that my girlfriend and I did about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because it had a bunch of music from the soundtrack on there, and they pulled that one off for our Honey Darling show. So I don't know, it's weird, but I put up stuff from Super Mario Odyssey right when it came out, and that I get the copyright claims, but
you just don't get money, yeah. That's all that
well,
is.
I never get money for anything, so it doesn't really matter, I put the soundtrack to Golf Story on YouTube. I'm the only person that has it up there because nobody recorded and put it up there, and I have thousands of views on that, and all that's monetized, and nobody, I think it's funny because they want you to click the ads, but nobody ever clicks the ads, no, I don't think there's anybody that actually does it, and I think that's how you get it from it. I was just curious, I'm always curious how that works, for people who's been doing it longer and whatnot. But I watched your I watched your Wonderful 101 video, which we'll definitely get into in our second half of the show. But I think it helped me understand the game better the second time around playing it. So I enjoyed it, and it helped me realize that that game is really, really cool. And I wish I would have played more of it when I got it before. But I think since I didn't get my Wii U until like 2 years or so like after it came out. So I think I just got it really cheap like after I got it, and I think I was still playing like Super Mario 3D World and stuff like that. So I think it just kind of got buried under other stuff,
Right.
So because I remember I bought it used for like $20, like around the time that I got the Wii U, but I bought a bunch of other stuff too, like cheap and used. So I think I just kind of got lost in the shuffle,
Mm-hmm. I know that.
It was plus because it was such a weird, complicated game, but not really, if you understand the way it works. But we'll talk about that more in the second part. But let's do what we normally do every week. Let's talk about how much, what we spent on games and what we've been playing and all that stuff. Who wants to go first?
I can start
This
off.
week I didn't buy anything, so I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, John's the penny pincher.
I'm a penny pincher. That's true.
Didn't buy anything?
He didn't buy anything.
I bought nothing.
Nice,
You didn't buy
dude.
for $20?
I didn't buy what?
You didn't even buy Brawl Out? The Smash?
No, I didn't buy Brawl Out.
I streamed some of it on Twitch, and it's on the YouTube if you want to check it out and see if it's weird. It's like we'll talk more about it.
Mm-hmm.
But is there something you've been playing aside from?
Yeah, Zelda. So referring back to my name that I chose, Adequate 100. I told you before that I was going to 100% Zelda. I was going to do every side quest, etc.
Yeah,
And I took your advice. Trader told me,
I told you.
get the DLC and you want to get that motorcycle. By the time you get it, you're gonna have nothing to do.
Yeah.
You're having nothing to drive around and see.
Yeah.
So I thought about that. I thought, okay. And so just this morning, actually, I found the 100th shrine. And I thought, okay, that's maybe good enough. So right after this podcast, I'm gonna get online. I'm gonna download the DLC.
Yeah.
Something to play on my airplane that I'm gonna be on in just a couple hours.
Oh, where you?
Yep.
Where are you flying to? You didn't mention that you were leaving. Are you going to?
Yeah, I'm going back to Michigan. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm from Detroit, so.
Yeah. Well, we got to get one more episode here before you take off for Christmas.
That's right.
Is that where your Miss Pac-Man machine is?
Yeah, I'm gonna go visit her. She's at my sister's house.
Nice.
Play for a good couple of rounds, and actually, I'll get to play probably for the first time with my nephew.
Oh,
So
cool.
I don't know if I talked about that on
You
the
did.
podcast before. My little nephew, he's 2 years old, just turned 2, and he likes to play the Miss Pac-Man machine that I have. That it's currently at my sister's house, but every night before bedtime, he has to play Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, that's great. Miss Pac-Man is actually my #1 favorite arcade game of all time.
Me
Oh,
too.
Yeah.
I love that game.
I'm a Pac-Man maniac. Like, I just love all things Pac-Man, but Miss Pac-Man is just the best version of that game.
Absolutely, right on.
Nice.
My favorite.
Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, I got my 100th shrine. I'm good to go. I'm gonna get that DLC in just a couple hours, and yeah, so good enough. 100.
Well, if you really think about it, you only need the Divine Beasts in order to, start doing the DLC that would lead to the bike, and if you're really trying 100%, like, you could purposely ignore quests that are not related to the Divine Beast, so you still have very much so a reason to explore Hyrule Field, with the Master Cycle Zero, and even if you're leaving those other shrines to do so, I think I'm not going to get too far into it, but I think the DLC definitely favors people who are just playing the game now and could use those things in the DLC for like the first time playthrough instead of most people that I feel like are getting it kind of late and already like put 150 hours into the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, you can always like go. What I've been hearing is people have been like taking the bike and pretty much doing like the hero's path and just driving it around and going to the places they haven't gone to before, that type. And trying to like fill out the rest of the shrines, if they didn't get all 120 of them or whatever. So that seems to be what people are doing with it. But you're saying that you don't have to beat Ganon to do DLC? I thought you did. I thought you would have had Ganon to.
No, so even if you did beat Ganon, when you activate DLC, like the game doesn't save after defeating Ganon. So
No,
You know
like
what I mean? So the only thing that triggers the Champion's Ballad is having completed the 4 Divine Beasts, because technically, yeah, like story wise, the Champion's Ballad exists before you defeat Ganon. So you do not need to defeat Ganon in order to do anything in the DLC.
oh, okay. Have you made it all the way through the DLC then?
Yes, just recently.
Okay. Yeah, I just did the first part where you get the tuning fork and go through the shrines. I finished that part, but I didn't do. I don't know. I had a hard time finding the stuff on the pictures, whatever. So I didn't. So I didn't stuff. But is that what you playing this week, John?
That's what I've been playing. That and Rocket League again.
Yeah. Well, you play it all the time. It's on sale now. There's a little news.
Sale. You should buy it.
Oh, Rocket League's on sale?
I know it's $15 now. I have no excuse to not get it. Right.
Do it.
Aside from
it.
But I don't think I'll play it ever. But I mean, I'm sure I'll play it.
You'll like it.
Yeah.
We can make a team.
I'm so bad at Rocket League.
Yeah.
I'm bad too, but it's fun.
I've never played,
it's fun.
but I'm sure I'll have to get it because it's on sale now. What have you gotten this week, Jeremy?
Well, other than the topic of the week, which I won't get to play until tomorrow, unfortunately, I bought Polybridge that I'll talk. I guess I can talk about it now. Polybridge a little bit. I bought that. So far, I don't like it that much. Unfortunately, it's got like I can tell that it's a good game, but the controls are messed up. So I started playing it. It's kind of like it reminds me a little bit of World of Goo, except like
nice.
after you make the bridge, then like you have to get the thing to move across it. You know, it has to be able to support the weight of a vehicle crossing it, or multiple vehicles sometimes. But so I started out playing it, in handheld mode because I was doing something else. I was like, I'll just try it out now, and it uses the touch screen, and that worked great. But it wasn't super precise. Like I still wish it were a little more precise. Like it was
On the touch.
Yeah, on the touch screen. So later on, I was like, I wonder how good that looks on the TV. Not even thinking like, how do you replace the touch screen? Well, the way you do that is you have to use the Joy-Con, either one that you want. You use it as a pointer, like with the Wii.
Like World of Goo. World of Goo did that same thing where you play it really well on the touchscreen, but it does like a emulated Wii remote thing, and it didn't work as well as it should because I'm sure
really,
it kind of like
really bad.
Right?
Like I did a little bit of a Twitch. Yeah, I did a Twitch playthrough of it, and I think I only played for about 8 minutes, and I had to quit because I was so mad.
I watched. Yeah, and you were like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get really upset about this soon."
Well, something about it, like it just gets worse and worse as you go. Like it lets you, like you can continually point, back at the middle of the screen, hit the button at the top, either the plus or the minus, and it recenters the pointer. So that should work well. But after a while, like even if you recenter the pointer, it'll float, and it starts floating faster and faster every time you recenter it, and eventually it's just all over the place, and you can't control it at all. And if you watch that video, like at one point I'm just like I zoomed way out and I couldn't find where I was, and it like scrolled to the northwest corner of the map, and I didn't know what was happening at all. And so anyway, I think I said at the top of the show I can forgive this, though. I think it's a good game with bad control, and the developer, who I think is just one person, is already on the internet asking, specifically, hey, how should I fix this? Like, what do you want? Which I think the best choice is just to make the thumbstick work. Yeah.
That's weird. Like, yeah, I didn't even think about that it would be like a mouse. I guess it would be mouse control because it's a PC game, right? The Polybridge stuff is.
I think it started on Steam or something like that.
Yeah, because aren't they doing like a Portal themed Polybridge game? Isn't that one of those coming out for?
I don't know if it's Polybridge, but it's something like that. It is Portal themed.
There's a bridge constructor, I think it's called,
which is similar, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. The bridge thing it all went together in my head. It's like that's the thing, right? But that's a shame because I know you had expressed interest in it, and I was like, hey, you should get it, and then
I think it'll get fixed eventually. But I did also buy Yooka-Laylee, which I haven't played a whole lot of it, but all that I've played actually is on Twitch as well. Which is one reason I haven't played it again, because I'm like, should I stream it every time I play it? Like now that I started at the beginning streaming it, but I don't know.
I would say I wonder about it all the time.
It's fun so far. I don't have any complaints. I guess the camera is a little annoying, but I can get used to it. But I also wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about Zelda without spoiling anything. I'm on that part with the tuning fork that you said, Trey. And
yeah, the wonder. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm stuck because I don't think I'm ruining anything. You have to kill all the enemies in an area.
Yeah.
And then you unlock a shrine. Well, I've killed all the enemies. Like I've even used the hero's path mode, and like I've literally like covered the whole area and me walking back and forth. There's no bad guys left to kill. I started using my tracker and started putting the different enemy types in the tracker, the Sheikah slate.
Yeah.
And it's not showing any bad guys. Like it took me all the way across the map to find a bad guy.
So wait, are you still on the Great Plateau?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started just running around and whistling. I was like, there's got to be a moblin around here somewhere. It's in the forest. So I run around, I'm whistling, and like I said, I use Hero's Path, and I've literally covered the entire like that quadrant that's in.
That's interesting.
And I can't, and I tried leaving the Great Plateau, and it ends the trial, and then you restart it, and like, the bad guys are still gone, but you know, I tried like restarting it to see if that would help. I tried restarting the game multiple times, shutting it down, restarting it, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't find whatever that last enemy is to open up the shrine. So I'm pretty sure I'm stuck.
Weird.
Have you gotten any of the 3 shrines, or is this?
I've gotten. This would be the third of the 4.
Okay. Right.
So I've gotten 2 of them. Those work just fine. But for whatever reason, like either there's an enemy glitching out somewhere, or the game's just frozen, or I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't want to reload the whole thing and start over again because those first 2 were really hard.
Now, do you remember if the how do I say this? The third shrine that should be unlocking now. Are you in like the forest area, like where the dot is on the map? Is it in the woods?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what might be happening is one of the enemies is a swarm of keys bats that could be flying in the air, and you need to kill enough of them for them to fly off, and that's considered an enemy.
I did do that. I killed several of them, and they flew off.
Okay, I was thinking like maybe since you were looking on the ground, you might have not known that, but all right.
Well, that's the thing. So maybe like I didn't kill enough of them, and I need to go find wherever they like swarm. But that's another thing I've been doing. I've been like running around the trees, thinking the keys counted.
Yeah.
So
if it makes you feel any better, the DLC gets significantly better after that Great Plateau part.
Well, I've liked it so far. Like it's hard, but I like it, and I'm just frustrated because I'm stuck. Like I want to get to that fucking shrine. I want to play it. So I gotta I guess I gotta look for those keys, which is kind of what I was thinking too. Like maybe. Because they did fly off though. Like I killed enough of them that they flew off. So I thought that I dispatched them.
Yeah, it's probably like a little thing. Like, cause I mean,
but
it could be like.
But like I said, I've run through that whole encampment area where they are, and I've run all around it, and then I just started doing a spiral from the center where the dot is, and whistling the whole time, and I did that all the way around. Started knocking down trees, just seeing if that would help.
Wow, you tried everything.
It seems like you definitely spent a lot of time of it, especially if you were like taking pictures of all the monsters and like hunting them.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I used the Sheikah slate to find
everything you could.
And it said moblin detected, and then it took me like all the way to the other side of the Great Plateau where there was just one like on top of a rock or something.
I wish you would have streamed that. That would have been funny. If you're wondering, I mean, not funny for you, but funny for people. You like in a spiral and then like trying to hunt down all the monsters.
Yeah, but I went online looking for a solution, and like some people have had similar things happen, but not in that spot specifically. And everybody's suggestion was to like leave the plateau and come back. One person actually ended up uninstalling the game and reinstalling it, and I guess that solved the problem. But I don't want to do that.
You won't lose. I mean, will you lose your save files? No, I guess.
No, I don't think so.
Because they would have to, yeah. That sounds like something I'd be afraid to do, though. Yeah, to possibly losing shit for it. That sucks, though. Yeah, because I was gonna say I really like the opening stuff with the tuning fork and all that. And once you got to the part where it's like, here, find this part of the map that doesn't look like anything on the map, that was when I was like, oh, it sucks now. You know, I mean, I like the earlier part that was more challenging and fun. because I liked it when it kind of pointed me to places. I guess I don't really have the map memorized, and those pictures are, I don't know, they're like different colors too. Like, they don't even look like the map. So I had a hard time finding the extra stuff after that. But yeah, hopefully you get to find the rest of that.
I do too, man, because I've been loving finding those new shrines. Like, I haven't seen a new shrine in so long, you know.
I know. That was the most exciting part of the DLC for me. Like, I didn't spoil any aspect of DLC for me. So, and again, I don't want to say specific numbers in case no one knows, but once I finished DLC and was surprised to see how many shrines were added to the main game, and I was very satisfied with that number. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like, you know, I really thought it was going to be less than that, and so I was definitely happy with that.
Is the motorcycle awesome? Like, I heard it's pretty cool, and you feed like shit to it, like to like fuel, pretty much.
Yeah, you could use any material in your inventory to any 5 will max out the fuel, so you could throw anything in there you want.
Nice. Yeah, you like just grab it like cooking and just throw it in.
Pretty much. The second you get off your, like, the seat like kind of opens up, and it's really cool. And what's great about it is you know, unlike your horse, you really could travel all sorts of terrain. Like, it can go up like much more vertical inclines than your horse can without looking glitchy Skyrim-like. You know, you could jump with your motorcycle. You don't take any fall damage, so you could just leap off a mountain and have, you know, no fear or anything. So it's really fun.
Nice. Yeah.
You do stunts and stuff like barrel rolls and flips and all that stuff.
Nothing too crazy, but you know, you can like kind of do like you know, like hairpin turns by braking a certain way, and you know, like I said, there's a dedicated jump button just for the motorcycle. So, you know, nothing too fancy, but there is a horn on the front of it, so it's pretty fun to just run down a horde of enemies.
Will they like come at you like the same way as whistling? Like, if you honk, like, will they kind of take notice and start?
To be honest, I haven't really used it enough to kind of be able to answer that, because although I did play around with it, but as soon as I really was done with that DLC, I have such a backlog of games that I'm trying to finish and play. And so, you know, I finished the DLC, I finished that final dungeon, and I just moved on to something else.
Yeah, sure. No, I get it, man.
Got one last question on the bike. If you whistle for it, does it come rolling over the hill just like the horse?
Unfortunately, it does not. It actually it becomes its own new rune on your Sheikah slate, and so you could summon it, similar to like how you would like summon the amiibo scanning reticle in front of you, and you would do the same thing for the bike, and just, you know, press A and it'll appear in front of you.
It's like Ghost.
Cool.
Yeah. If you ever read the old Ghost Rider comic, like, he could make the Hell bike appear from nowhere. That's what I always
pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much what it's like.
It's not an actual thing. It's like a spirit bike or whatever. So it would always be with him. Like, he didn't have to park it anywhere or anything like that.
Convenient
For him, yeah. That was when I was a big Ghost Rider fan when I was a kid, and I remember when I was walking home from school, I always wished that I was able to like summon the Hell bike so I could just like bike home and I wouldn't have to walk everywhere. It's like like fat kid dreams, you know. So I was thinking about being able to have like some sort of transportation, like whenever you want it, so you don't have to walk anywhere. You know, it's my dream. But yeah. Is there anything else you bought? You probably want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit more about the Yooka-Laylee.
Yes, I definitely want to talk a little bit about that.
I think that's all I bought this week.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Yooka-Laylee, and then I'll talk about stuff that I bought. And you should talk if you got stuff as well, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
But Yooka-Laylee, like, what I was going to say is, I know that Yooka-Laylee was super buggy, but I know that the Switch version is the best version of the game. So whatever problems were with it before, this is probably the best way to play it, which is part of like why I ended up getting it. I talked about it last week on our live show, but I mean, Yooka-Laylee was a game that like me and Jeremy like waited for so long. We talked about it so many times on the show and all that it was kind of like, I kind of have to get it because I've spent all this time talking about it and thinking about it and like wanting to play it. And I was like, I got to give it a shot. And I felt like I owed it to myself to play it and get it and all that. So I did. And I like it for the most part. But what really annoys me about it, and I texted Jeremy about it when he got it, is like, if you get stuck on something, you might have to like leave the level and go talk to some guy who's going to give you a move that'll help you get to the next. That was like what really annoyed me about it, because I got really, really stuck, and all I had to do was leave the level and go back like a couple rooms and talk to some fucking weird trouser snake thing, and like he'll give me another move that I can use to do what I couldn't figure out before. You know, like it's weird. Like it doesn't seem like organic. I guess the way they have it constructed. That's the way the game works. So and I was, because I'd heard so much bad things about it, I thought that maybe the game was just really badly designed that way. Because there's like one thing I got stuck at, and I just couldn't do it. And then I found out that I needed to learn how to aim and shoot shit. And then I got through it. You know, it's like, but I thought it was just bad because everybody kept talking about how bad it was. So it's like kind of weird. It's weird the way the game is structured. And I haven't even gotten to the casino level yet, which I heard that's like the worst.
Yeah.
It's the one that I've heard the most shit talked about. So I haven't been to that one. But I did like pretty much beat that first level set, like the whole open world level. I got to the ice world, and that was kind of cool, but I'm still enjoying it for what it is. But like I said, I haven't gotten to the casino yet. But so you just kind of have to kind of rethink the way you would handle a normal game to play Yooka-Laylee, I guess is what I'm saying for that. It's like you have to be like, oh wait, I might have to go buy another move before I can actually do this.
Yeah.
When I first started,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, when I very first started playing the game, and I couldn't hit like Y to like open a treasure. I know you had to deal with this too, Jeremy, but that just annoyed me. That's like, oh wait, I can't do a fucking spin move like at the beginning. I gotta go talk to a dumb snake that wears pants, you know, to wear shorts to like get this.
Probably the best original character in the game. Just saying, but
I think he's cool.
Yeah.
Seriously, just that the whole game started with you not even being able to like attack. I thought it was weird. You know, it's like you might as well just have me just walking around. I can't jump yet because I need somebody to tell me I can jump, and then I'll jump. You know, like I don't know. It felt weird, but that's just kind of how the whole game is designed. So you have to start thinking in that way for the game to not completely drive you crazy. You know, what were you gonna say?
Yooka-Laylee is an interesting game to me because to me what it feels like, and I mostly agree with everything that you had to say about it, but to me what it feels like a bunch of great ideas. Like, and if we were to kind of equate those ideas to like puzzle pieces, instead of it all clicking together, they're just kind of dumped on the floor and nothing's like seamlessly working together. So like my biggest complaint about that game is really just the design of the levels. Like they all feel big for the sake of being big. And then you look at something like Odyssey, which has a lot of levels that are smaller than you realize. Like, you know, New Donk City is not that big, but you never realize that because it's just very well designed. And Yooka-Laylee just has these huge landscapes that are very easy to get lost in, and there's not a lot of like just visual landmarks that are easy to be like, oh, I'm on the right side of this giant tower, but there's like 12 towers in this level and they all look the same. Like it's kind of messy in that sense. And just, you know, it's frustrating because I want to like it more than I do. Like, I kind of agree with just the general consensus the online community has. I think it's just very meh, and I think it was very close to being so much more than it was. But I don't know. And especially in a post-Odyssey world now, I can never see myself going to finish it.
Sure.
And the good thing about Odyssey, too, like you're right, a lot of the levels are actually physically smaller than you feel like they are. But the reason they feel so big is that the levels are so dense. Like New Donk City, every corner you turn, there's at least 5 things to do right before your eyes. And it sounds like what you're saying is Yooka-Laylee is just, you said, too big for the sake of being big.
Yeah.
They forgot to actually include things to do. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I do have to say, by far, my favorite mechanic in Yooka-Laylee that, like, to my knowledge, I've never seen another platformer do, and I would love for, especially even Mario, to adopt this, is, you know, what is it that you're collecting? Pages, right? You're collecting pages in that game. And so, like, you know, that would be the equivalent of stars in another Mario game, and obviously you collect pages to unlock new levels. But I love the idea that you have this choice to either, okay, I could use these pages to get the next level, or I can make a level I already have unlocked larger, and that adds new missions and it adds new areas. And I like that idea. That's a really cool idea, and I like that kind of, you know, choice factor that the player has. But again, it's just getting big without adding enough substance to, you know, the size of the level. Like, great concept, but not executed properly.
Let me ask you something, since you've all played the game and I haven't played the game. To the extent that you do enjoy it, trying to look at it objectively, how much of your enjoyment is coming from your nostalgia for Banjo-Kazooie and sort of recognizing the spirit of Banjo-Kazooie in the game?
All of it.
I would say honestly, like definitely majority. I would say 75% of it for me.
Yeah.
What I was, and this is kind of what Jeremy said like a week or two ago, is what it is for me is like, and I think and this is what like what you said is I really like 3D platformers, and 3D platformers don't really exist anymore. So that's kind of like why I play it. It's not like that it reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie. It's just that I really like games like that, and there's not really that many of them out. I mean, I thought about getting that fucking Boxy game or whatever on there because it's half off, but it's another 3D platformer. You know, I just like playing those games. Those are like my favorite games to play on the 64, and unfortunately, they kind of all died off. Like even like Mario went away for a while before like Odyssey because like 3D World wasn't really a 3D platformer. You know, it was weird like so.
It was 2D Mario in 3D. That's all it was.
I yearn for those games so much, and I understand that that's what they were trying to do. What Playtonic was trying to do with the game is like make that type of game. So it's kind of like that's just the type of games that I like to play. So I play it because you know I enjoy those games. It's not necessarily a Banjo-Kazooie nostalgia thing.
Well, I think I mean, this is the team that made Banjo-Kazooie, and probably a lot less people than they needed to make a game of this scope that they were thinking. I think that might be part of it. Like maybe the crew's too small, and that's why there's so little content, but giant. Like maybe whoever designed the levels was able to have the resources to make huge levels, but the people who made the objectives, maybe there weren't enough people doing that, and that it was rushed. Blah blah blah. There's probably a lot to it, but this game's like directly analogous, like in every element so far, to Banjo-Kazooie. You know, the two characters, Banjo-Kazooie, Yooka-Laylee, and then I think Laylee's the bat, who's like the bird Kazooie. Totally, when she's talking to Trouser Snake, it's just like Bottles, not the dolphin, Bottles the mole, like talks shit to him the whole time. Like that whole relationship's the same. It's like he just took the same character and gave it a different skin. Like Banjo-Kazooie, like it's the characters seem the same, and like Trouser Snake's Bottles, but his personality's a little different, but he serves the same purpose, even in the narrative, not just in how he plays into the gameplay. So I don't know. That's the spirit that I'm saying. That's why I'm so nostalgic, because it's literally like playing Banjo-Kazooie with different skins.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I do love Bowser's 90s cell phone. That's probably my favorite thing about it. He keeps from it, like while you're talking to him, and he keeps pulling it out of his shorts, and it's like gigantic. It's like the biggest cell phone ever.
Right.
I did
the
get
character actually called Trouser Snake?
Yeah, his name is Trousers, and he's a snake inside a giant pair of trousers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I call him Trouser Snake.
Risque.
He's pretty much Trouser Snake, yeah. So he probably is the best character just because he's hilarious. But you have to buy moves from him, from collecting quills, you know, which of course talk to you too, because like everything has eyes. Actually, you know, when I don't know if you've gotten to the point, there's like characters where they have eyeballs that like will jump onto something and possess something, and I was kind of like, I was like, I was like, don't tell me this is inspiration from Mario Odyssey here. So I know Yooka-Laylee came out before. It's just weird that they kind of have sort of a possession mechanic too, with those little floating eyeballs that go around. Like even the beginning of the game does that, where it like jumps on a box and like moves the box. It just weirdly reminded me of Odyssey, and I'm like, huh. I mean, I'm sure that they have nothing to do with each other whatsoever, but it's still kind of weird. He's so close to each other, and I mean, you can't do it, but there is like an eyeball that possesses other things. So,
right.
Yeah. That's that. It's the Yooka-Laylee talk. Wasn't Kazooie kind of snarky also in Banjo-Kazooie? Like, that's
what I mean. Yeah, they're this.
Yeah.
Like the straight and the straight character and the snark are like direct analogs.
Oh yeah, sure. No, I get that. But I mean, like I said, for me, it's just like playing another 3D platformer, which I like those games. That's what keeps bringing me back to it. And plus, I got kind of stuck on Mario, so it wasn't, I wasn't going back to that one as much.
Right.
I do love loading up my Switch with all these fun, beautiful, full 3D games. Like, it was just something else to throw on the Switch. And like I said before, I likened it to buying Color Splash. Like, I paid $40 for a mediocre game once before. I'll do it again.
Dude.
Oh man, I don't want to get into the Color Splash conversation. Let's change it because I'm a passionate Paper Mario fan, and I feel a certain way about that, of course.
Oh yeah, no, we are. I mean, it's like I didn't play Color Splash as much as Jeremy did, but
I beat
Sticker Star was like that for me, where I just felt like I was so betrayed by the
Yep.
series.
Yeah.
And really had high hopes for that, and I was just like, it was like Skyrim for me. I tried like so many times to play. Well, I didn't play Skyrim, but Oblivion. I tried like so many times to play it to the point where I just like gave it away because I didn't want to break it. Because I hate this game. I gave it to somebody because I was going to break the game in half. But it was the same sort of thing where it's just like I tried very hard, but I could not like it. Like even with Mario and all that in there, I could not do it. And I really tried very hard. I probably put like 30 hours into it, like maybe even more than that. It shows it on my DS, but it's just like I couldn't do it. I just could not. Like
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Like I tried really hard, but no, I can't. Sorry, Mario. Sorry, Paper Mario. That's that on. I was gonna say I think Yooka-Laylee is a little better than Color Splash, or at least I'll probably play it longer than I did Color Splash. Color Splash was kind of like, I know you had dedication to it, but I haven't touched it since whenever we talked about it for that show.
The only positive thing I could say about Color Splash is it felt like they definitely got the writing back to the sense of humor that the original Paper Mario's had, and I played a large majority of Color Splash just for that. And when I completely forgot that I was playing a Paper Mario game, there were moments I was sort of able to enjoy it, but I had to completely like get out of my mind the idea of like, this is Paper Mario. Like, no, just pretend you're playing something else, otherwise you're going to be disappointed.
It's just an indie game. This is just an indie game.
Exactly. Like I had to just keep telling myself like, this isn't Paper Mario. This isn't Paper Mario. This is just another company trying to look like Paper Mario. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, it did look really good though. I mean,
it looks phenomenal.
The graphics, right? I mean, I give it that. And those like win button stickers were pretty cool. The stickers that you use to beat the bad guys, like pretty much the ones that like have like the realistic lemons and stuff like that. That's okay. But yeah. Enough about that. Enough of that. Yeah. Sticker Star Color Splashes.
Enough about my game of the year 2015.
I don't know if you wanted to go, but there was a game I picked up this week.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, a little random. Didn't expect to pick it up. I picked up Floor Kids on the Switch.
Oh yeah, how's that? We want to hear.
You know what? Like, surprisingly fun. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it from other people, but the best way to describe it is Tony Hawk, but you're breakdancing.
Nice. That's what I was fun to me.
In terms of the control scheme and the way like the kind of combo system works and the way to get the highest score possible, it is 100% Tony Hawk. Like,
cool.
Making sure you don't redo the same moves over and over again, and like having the dexterity to like balance the right things, and like and in that sense, it's really addicting.
Okay. But you don't have music.
Oh, it's awesome. It's very catchy, and like it's how do I even describe it?
Or something.
Yeah. He made all the music, and what's cool is like, so for example, like I'm not gonna get like really deep into it, but like the most you use all 4 face buttons, and so like just tapping to the beat, any of the 4 face buttons will be one type of standing up dance move, but as long as you're actually doing it to the beat. And then once you hold a direction while also doing one of the 4, that'll do a completely different dance move, and you can very seamlessly be in like up Y, down X, down X, down X, right B, and like mix all sorts of different things together as long as you're staying to the beat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I never control some. They sound pretty cool. The controls. Does it give you the sensation that your thumbs are like breakdancing?
Kind of. So like there's 4 different like categories of dance moves. So one of them are power spins. So like depending on which shoulder button you're holding, and then you have to spin the control stick in a circle, and that's like how you'll make your guy like spin on his head or like spin on his back, and you have to be careful because if you go for too long, like he'll topple over and you'll lose a bunch of points and you'll lose some of the crowd. And then you have like freeze moves where like holding X and A together, like that's when you'll just kind of like stand like on one hand like freezing for a moment, and the longer you hold it the more points you get, but again you're risking falling over. So like like one kind of combo is like doing a power spin and then freezing in the middle of it and holding as long as you can. And then if you like hit another button while you're frozen, you can like do a little hop. And there's all little ways to just kind of like sprinkle on little bonus points into like every little dance move. And it gets really addicting. It's a lot deeper than I expected it to be.
Is there a multiplayer mode in it at all? Can you like play with a buddy on Floor Kids?
Oh yeah, 2-player. But only 2-player. No, not 3 or 4-player, unfortunately.
Can you play horse like you could in Tony Hawk? Do you remember that? Or like you set the score?
I'll be honest, I haven't gotten the chance to check out the multiplayer like myself personally. I just know that the option is there.
Okay. No, I'm just curious because what you're saying like sounds really cool, but I'm just wondering like how much there is to do with that. Like, is the single player is pretty robust or?
I mean, it's for a $20 game, like I don't know if I would say robust, but it's definitely I'm very much so a completionist. So like I'm the type of person that like I want to get like 5 stars in every level, and so like and the method to score well is just really fun. So it's not a game that it feels like a drag to try and like go and like get all 5 stars for each level. You know what I mean? I mean, from what I've seen, the single player is pretty standard. Go around the city, hit different levels, unlock new characters. Like it really doesn't throw any curveballs or stuff like that. But I could be wrong. Like I've only played like I would say like honestly like 4 hours of the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. Because it definitely sounds like Tony Hawk, but it's like a Tony Hawk. There's like so many different rails to grind,
Sure.
Yeah. And
Seems
plus,
like
it needs to be stated, like I really love the art style where it's all hand drawn. Like I think that's really cool. Also, I don't know if you've ever seen like what the game actually looks like.
Kind of, having seen only a few videos, kind of looks like a Gorillaz video or something.
That is exactly what it looks like. That's like the perfect comparison.
Sure.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, that's another one.
It seems like the kind of game that it might have legs where you could like download a new song, new DLC or whatever. Sort of in the same way like when you're playing DDR, you can download a bunch of different songs for that or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can imagine it can have legs in that way.
Like a Guitar Hero or whatever.
Or Guitar Hero, yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
You get song packs and stuff like that.
But not like this.
Oh no.
No, not like American Idol, the GBA game.
On GBA.
I know Jeremy mentioned that he bought it before, but you actually have it now, and you did do a video of it on YouTube.
I did.
And
I watched it. It's hilarious and horrifying.
I didn't watch the video, but I watched like a couple of songs, and I did laugh my ass off watching it because it's like, it's like.
I kind of wish I had never watched the YouTube videos, but then again, I never would have bought it. But I did record myself the first time I played it, so it was a genuine like first reaction to playing it. And
it doesn't.
I was laughing a lot.
It would have been funny to see.
I love how bad you were doing, and then Paul Abdul's like, "You did a good job." And Randy's like, "Yo, dog, you nailed it."
I know. I'm like, no, I should have lost. I was trying to lose.
It's such a ridiculous game, but hilarious to watch. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen it before, Justin.
So if Floor Kids is better,
I believe I have seen a little bit of it.
Better than Floor Kids.
Jeremy, you should go audition for American Idol and bring your GBA.
I will.
Watch this.
Yeah, you'll be like,
buttons.
Be dressed like the character I created.
Hold on, you just play it in front of the microphone. It's like, yeah, and they're like,
Maggie, take your clothes off. Live in the Vida Loca.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, that game's hilarious. So I bought for this week. I bought Romancing Saga 2, which I talked about for our 100th episode. I talked about streaming it live, and I actually did stream it on YouTube, and I actually got a ton of views for it. Well, I mean, I got like
a lot of views.
Got like 100 something, which is good for me. If I get 30, I'm like, hey, that's cool, right? But yeah, for some reason, people watch my first 2 hours of Romancing Saga. But that game's cool. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Final Fantasy Legend on Game Boy, original Game Boy, is Saga 1. So like Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3 is Saga 1, 2, and 3 in Japan. And then Romancing Saga 1 was on Super Nintendo, and Romancing Saga 2, well, Super Famicom was on Super Famicom also. And this is the first time that it's been, it's been released on like on Steam, but this is like the first, for Nintendo and all. And I guess it was on Vita before, but it's the first like American translation of it for Nintendo, and it feels Final Fantasy, but it's a lot different, like the way it works. I don't know. They did the Retronauts did an episode about it, and weirdly enough, I listened to it like right before I even knew this game was coming out. So I kind of knew what the game is, but the game has life points, which you can't really refill. So like every time your guy dies, you'll lose a life point. And if you run out of life points, there's permadeath. Like your dude dies forever, and you can't come back to life. So like your main guy, whoever you are, like if he dies, like he inherits his powers to a new person that comes into the game because he's dead. He can't come back to life.
Okay.
So, that's an interesting thing. And I think in Romancing Saga 2, like you can only restore your life points with specific items. Like you can't like, do it in a hotel or anything like that. You can't like, sleep it off or anything like that. So it's kind of like crazy because I'm like, oh shit, I only have so many life points, and when they're gone, they're gone. So it's an interesting game, but yeah, I ended up picking that one up, and then I picked up that Japanese learning game on there as well, just for the fun of it. Hiragana Pixel Party, which is basically, it's not quite Floor Kids, but it's like a rhythm-based game to teach you the different, signals.
It'll like teach you how to read Japanese, but you don't understand it. You can just read it.
Well, no, it's like they're. I mean, as far as I got, it's just like vowels. So it'll show you the symbol that means ah, or e, or whatever, and it actually kind of does it in a cool way. Like you use all the 4 face buttons to do it. Then you're basically a little character just running along a 2D plane, and you just jump over each one every time you see it. But it'll change where the symbol is on the buttons, like every time you do a jump. So it won't be you're thinking like, oh, hit B, B, A every time. You'll be thinking, oh, hit this signal and this symbol and then this symbol to do it. So it kind of like that's a really cool way to get it in your mind. And there's also like a katakana mode that you can switch it to. So I thought it was just hiragana, but it has both. So that's cool. I'm wondering if you can unlock like a kanji mode later. But if you're trying to learn how to read Japanese, it's actually the best game for that I found so far. Like I downloaded one for Wii U, and it just wanted you to just memorize all the symbols, and I couldn't do that. So it's worth it for that, for fun edutainment stuff. And I think it's only like $8. But yeah, that was another game that I got that I've been playing. But
right.
Yeah, it's a kind of out there. But but I think that's good. I think that's good for what I got. If there's something I forgot about it, that's fine because we're kind of getting along anyway here. But let's do the news really quick, and then we'll take a break and get into our topic. So at the top of the show, I know you were saying that there's an ARMS update tomorrow. We can just get right into that right now if you want.
Yeah, no. I don't know if any of you guys play ARMS, but yeah. So we got a teaser trailer about a week ago saying that it was still coming this year. So everyone's like, well, you don't have a lot of time, so But yeah, the Japanese Twitter account for Nintendo just announced today that. Tomorrow, which is December 21st, yeah. So it'll be the 5th free DLC character we're getting with the game, which means we'll be getting a new stage because every new character comes with a new stage. So that'll also be the 5th new stage we're getting. Every new character comes with 3 unique arms that you can then unlock for the other characters. So that's going to bring us up to 12 new arms that have come out since the game first came out because one of the fighters didn't come out with their own 3. And I think that's everything coming out in the update tomorrow.
Is that so? You said this is the 5th. So there's been Max Brass?
Yeah, it's been first was Max Brass. Second was Lola Pop, which was like this mime clown character.
Yeah.
After that, we surprisingly out of nowhere got a unannounced just like Springtron, which was like almost like the Akuma of Springman. Like he's just like a robotic Springman, and he does play differently. So he got added in. The most recent character, besides the one coming tomorrow, is this guy named Misango. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's like the shaman guy. Very fun and very unique. He's surprisingly deep in how his mechanics work. And then we don't know the name of this character that we're getting tomorrow. We know it's a female. She looks very electric-based. She looks like she could teleport. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting how it changes the game.
I take it you play a lot of ARMS then?
I have about 110 hours on the game and still play all the time. Yeah, I know it's not a game that is very popular but me and my friends it's a game I think is very easy to kind of put off to the side and think doesn't have a lot of depth, but the depth comes from a very different place than other typical fighters, because this isn't a game where each fighter has a move set or like, combo, potential. It's very much so a game 100% about movement. And when you look at all the abilities each fighter has, majority of the time it's some sort of tweak in how they move, and everything's about juking and reading your opponent, like where are they going to throw that punch, where are they going to move, I have to have a punch there. And just the whole I don't want to get too deep into the strategy of ARMS, but just knowing that you only have two fists to work with, like the limitations is what makes it as deep as it is in those mechanics, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think ARMS is a cool multiplayer game. I just don't I guess I don't play it as much as I would like to. Like, I wanted to get into some of those, whatever their equivalent is of the Splatfest. I forget what they call it.
Oh, yeah, the party crashes. That was another surprise update, and those are super fun. I like those a lot. And my favorite aspect of them is they encourage you to test arms you probably would never try to use with all sorts of fighters, because every 15 minutes it rotates what arms will give you bonus points for a particular fighter. So it's a nice incentive to be like, oh, I would never use this on this guy, but I get more points right now if I do it, so let me try it.
Thing I completely forgot that I bought, I wanted to just jump back into it really quick, what you were saying about ARMS, is fucking Brawl Out. I got that game.
Oh, yeah.
It came out on Tuesday. Did you get that game, Justin? Have you tried that?
I did not, but I have played maybe just 30 minutes of it from a friend who did get it.
Okay. It reminded me of it because of ARMS, because I was like, when was the last time I played ARMS? The last time I played ARMS, I played as like Lollapop for a while and like went for single player. And it always disappointed me that the ARMS doesn't have any story in the single player.
Yeah.
But Brawl Out actually does. So there's a one up for them against ARMS. But what I wanted to say about that game, and we don't need to talk about it for that long, but it's basically like Smash Brothers, except they took all of the items out of it and they made all the levels just like Final Destination. So it's kind of like they tried to make it for the extreme Smash Brothers.
I strictly play competitive Smash, so that's fine by me, but I understand for others that might not be the case.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just like, it's kind of funny that they go for that and they don't really, they take out some of the charm of it, I guess, for some people who want it to be more crazy, with all the items and stuff like that, which I always played. I mostly did it with the items. I never did it itemless or anything like that. I mean, unless somebody requested it, but I'm not a competitive player or anything like that. But if I played it like a convention or something, I would do it, no items. But from what I played of it, it's pretty fun. It's a good stopgap, I guess, before the new Smash Brothers comes out. And it has weirdly it has some like frame hiccups was like a big thing that I
it does, and there's no need, and there's no excuse for it to have it
because the graphics are so simple, and it's just like, and it's like weird. I don't know, I don't understand. And I played a lot of online stuff, and I guess I thought maybe it was my connection, but apparently it was everybody's connection. That it was getting, like, everybody was having a really hard time, because sometimes it'd be super smooth, and sometimes it'd be like,
even if it was with the same person.
It's like, And there was one guy that actually quit on me, which I streamed it, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. Where I was like, I hit him, and he was like flying off, and then it was like disconnection, and I was like, what? People still do that? Like, people like fucking quit so they don't get
the worst.
Rage quitters, man. That's fighting games. They thrive on fighting games. The rage quitters.
Well, you remember?
I'm gonna guess that the development team probably were hurrying to get it out before Nintendo makes whatever announcement they're about to make in January, because who knows? Maybe we're getting a Smash, Wii U Deluxe or whatever. Yeah. We don't know. They're under the gun, I'm sure, to get it out. They know what's up. When Smash comes, I think people will leave that one to the dustbin of history.
Yeah, pretty much. But for now, for $20, it's a pretty fun game. I mean, there's a lot of unlockables on it. Like, there's no microtransactions or anything like that. So, and it's fun to play. What I was saying about the rage quit guy. Do you guys remember the day like when you play online and somebody would like they'd quit so they didn't lose, so they could keep like their undefeated rank?
Stats.
It just happened to me twice today on Rocket League.
Because I remember that people would try to do stuff to where you'd automatically get a lose if you quit, like on certain games. Because I remember like the Metroid Prime Hunters on DS.
Right.
Like if you quit, you'd get an automatic lose. So I guess people are still doing that. But it was just kind of crazy. I was like, man, jeez, I didn't know. But yeah, it's I'll play it some more. But yeah, you don't have the items thing, and the other thing is like, everybody knows the charm of Smash Brothers is seeing all the Nintendo characters that you know and love on there fighting each other, and they have like two characters that maybe you know and maybe you don't know. Like Juan.
I do have to say, I think it's really cool that they have those two guest characters, the Hyper Light Drifter and Juan from Guacamelee. Like I didn't know they were gonna have any sort of like kind of like indie like characters in there. I was like, oh, that like I knew nothing about this game going into it when I tried it. So seeing them in the character roster, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's great. I just wish they had more. It'd be cool if like Shovel Knight was on there, like Yooka-Laylee, and like the fucking kid from Call of Story. I don't know.
To be honest, though, with my love for Shovel Knight, I think Shovel Knight's too good for this game.
I mean, he's in Yooka-Laylee, and he didn't like that one, so
that's true.
Get around and do stuff, Which I thought that was really weird running into him. Spoilers if you haven't gotten to him yet, Jeremy.
No, I've known about that for a long time.
Yeah,
he felt really out of place there too, though.
He's like, yeah, I got lost. It was in another. I can't find my game, and I'm 3D now. What to do?
Justin, where did you play Yooka? Did you play it on PC?
Yeah, I have it on PC.
Oh, okay. Did you do the Kickstarter thing and all that, or did you just buy it on Steam?
Yep, I just bought it on Steam. I was not involved in the Kickstarter at all.
Cool. Just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. My roommate was he kickstarted Mighty Number 9, so he wasn't too happy about that.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Right.
I kept thinking when I was trying to think of Wonderful 101, I'd say Mighty Number 9 because they have like the same syllables. But I'm like, that's a bad. Think about that one. I think there's only like a couple more new stuff to talk about real quick. Speaking of Zelda stuff earlier with the DLC, did you see that thing like where they were talking to them and they said they were saying that they weren't going to do any more DLC, or well, they said they're working on another Zelda game already.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I figured that was meaning that they probably won't do any more DLC for this, but
yeah, I think that's pretty safe.
Because once they finish one thing, they move on to the next thing. So I'm kind of more into that, like them working on another Zelda than like making Breath of the Wild like a platform. Or how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I wouldn't mind some more DLC. I'll say that, but if they were going to do a Majora's Mask type, like weird spin on Breath of the Wild, I'd be into it. Use the same engine, make it faster. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think, if they had robust online gaming back in 98 or whenever Ocarina of Time came out, they would have made a Majora's Mask as a DLC.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have been a whole separate cartridge game. Yeah, I think so.
That's a big DLC.
It had to use the expansion pack, so that made it like.
Did have to use it. Yeah, that's true. I think because it used the same engine and everything, I think they would have basically re-strategized and said, okay, we can make the same, make a different game with the same engine. Basically, it's kind of like.
Well, going off of that, kind of combining some things that you guys said, I'm completely fine with no further DLC for Breath of the Wild, but with my time with that game, seeing how big Hyrule is and just imagining how long it took to how detailed a world this large was, and I really hope what I would like to see them do is go the Majora's Mask route. I would love for them to be like, let's just take this same exact engine, this same exact Hyrule, like maybe do like sort of a prequel where you could build up Hyrule Castle Town and like don't have Hyrule in ruins. Let's just have the same world map, maybe just like but have it like flourishing instead of in ruins, and like make like have like just a quick 2-year development cycle of doing a Majora's Mask like kind of thing where you have a fully new game but you're reusing old assets to just pump it out quicker.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I was gonna say too. Yeah, they should do something like that where maybe not necessarily use the same map, but use all the stuff that they have and just recreate a game out of it. Which I think they have to be doing something like that, because if they want to do a whole brand new thing that's like Breath of the Wild, that's going to take another like I don't know, 6 years. Like, how long did it take for this one to come out? Between like,
Right.
I mean, what was before this? Skyward Sword? Like, that was a long time ago. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I feel like they had been working on that since the Wii U was out for what has been like 5 years since it came out, and that was supposed to be for that, and it didn't come out for that, and it came out. Well, it did, but at the very end of it, and you know, but yeah, I'd rather they would just. I wish they would do the same thing with both of them. Like, I'd like to see DLC for Odyssey, but it'd be cool if they would like kind of put something together like Super Mario Galaxy, you know, where they have like a sequel out sooner than later.
Yeah.
And if they did like a Majora's Mask thing with Breath of the Wild too, you know, like re-release it with like some new story, rearrange the characters and have them be all different people or whatever. Like, not keep the same style, but you know, write a new story around it would be cool. For sure, I'd be done with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Zelda Rescue Link.
Zelda is she already rescuing Link?
Besides CDI, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, what about Linkle? She can be a character.
There you go.
What do you
I would like to see that actually.
I would too.
For sure. Is there let's say I don't think I have a whole lot of stuff on here. I saw that Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 is coming to Switch, which is cool.
Oh, yeah, that is cool.
Edition 1.
That's cool.
That's pretty rad.
And the Switch version is the only version that will have a new 2-player co-op mode.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's pretty dope. I saw with the Mario and Rabbids creative director made a pitch for a Zelda Wind Waker game on GBA. You see that, like a chip version of it, like a 2D.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Really quick plug-in that I just want to say, like going off of Mario plus Rabbids, like since the free update of the PvP versus mode came out, like I haven't been buying new games because me and my friend have been enjoying the hell out of that. It is so fun, and it's re-inspired me to go back and beat that game, which I never beat. So like that's what I've been playing recently. Honestly, it's just Mario and Rabbids.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it either. Like, I'm next week I'm taking like a week off from work pretty much just to play games from last year to try to get shit together for our year episode that we do after that. So I'm gonna try to like play more of Mario Rabbids and you know, do more of Odyssey and Zelda and SteamWorld Dig and like all that other stuff that I haven't gotten through, but I want to. But yeah, the verse mode sounds really cool. I don't have anybody here to play it, but if you come up the first week of January, maybe you can play it and stream it or something like that. And do some
It's surprisingly deeper than I thought it would be, especially for a free unexpected update. Like it's not just the game in 2-player. Like they actually kind of like remix some things, and I think it's really cool. Like, but you know, I don't want to get too deep into that.
Oh sure, yeah, but no, that's no, I totally want to play it for sure. I think if there's anything that is there anything you know of that I'm missing? Well, John did say something that I didn't see.
So
go for it.
This was just announced before we started recording about 2 hours ago on Nintendo's Twitter. They announced they have a brand new Nintendo Power podcast.
Yes, I did see this.
You saw that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forgot about
That's pretty exciting. I haven't got a chance to listen to it, obviously.
So who's on it? Like Bill Trinan and Reggie?
Chris Slate. I don't know if we know him.
Nope.
Do we know him yet? No.
Oh, it's probably going to be like Treehouse people, right? Like, will what's her face be on there from IGN?
I would think so.
Yeah,
I
Audrey.
think they'd utilize her. Yeah, she hosts all the live Nintendo events and everything. So
That's experience, you know.
yeah. So yeah, go listen to the Nintendo Power podcast, but do not quit listening to Nintendomain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have people that we have to fight against now. That's our competition. It's the Nintendo podcast. Well, I know that like Sony had their own podcast for a while, and I know like a lot of people like, because I think there's like a official Star Wars podcast that I listened to for a little bit, but it's like it's not fun because they can't like make fun of themselves or like have really an opinion on like, because everything's great, you know, because it's like through the company. So I'm wondering.
Well, it's kind of like the Nintendo Power magazine.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
updated for 2017 or 2018.
It's like a magazine, which I mean, I read. I mean, you can see my Nintendo Powers back here. I read all of them growing up and all that, and most of them, before they gave a score of anything, it was always like one good thing and one bad thing. And you always like read through. You could tell the ones they really didn't like, but didn't want to say they didn't like it because their good thing pretty much sounds the same as their bad thing. Like if you're looking, say, like Chrono Trigger, it's like, what's the great thing? It's like the greatest RPG. It's like, what's your bad thing? It's like, well, it'll make you not like other RPGs as much. So, it would spoil you for other RPGs. And I'm like, well, that's not really a bad thing. Stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's. I just want to talk. Just wanted to mention for like releases tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's one in particular that we talked about before. Mom Hid My Game comes out tomorrow. That weird Japanese mobile game that was in the Nindy Direct comes out, and I think it's only like $3. It's $5.
Buying that for sure.
That's a notable release for me on the of like the 20 other games. There's some other game called Frederick, I guess. It's about Chopin. That's on there. That looked interesting. That one's like $6 too. Is there anything you're like looking for this week, Justin, or any of you guys? Aside from Mom Hid My Game, like Dear Gods on there. That was on the Nindies.
No, not that I could think of. Between trying to finally finish Rabbids and being excited for the Arms character tomorrow and just other games I'm trying to finish, like I haven't even been really paying much attention to like any further releases for 2017.
Yeah, it's super crowded on the Switch, but I try to stream stuff like every Thursday, so I'm always looking at what's coming out for the week. I think Mom Hid My Game will probably be mine. Plus, there's another game called The Next Penelope that looks like super anime, and it's like kind of like looks like F-Zero meets like Gradius, so I might try that one out. That one's kind of cheap too. I think it's only like $10 or $12. So who knows? But and I think like the week after that is a SteamWorld Heist, which I never played that game, so that's coming out the week after tomorrow. So that'll be my one for next week. We won't have a show next week. Well, we will. It'll be a bonus show, but it won't be an actual numbered one. But anyway, if that's you think we got everything for the news, let's take a break and then we'll talk about the wonderful 101.
Did we mention
Unite?
Did we mention IGN gave Zelda Game of the Year?
No, but I mean, did that surprise anyone?
No, but it's just another thing to add on the pile for Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it won. Did Mario Odyssey get anything? Like, whatever?
I'm not sure. It was on the list, but it wasn't number one.
Because like on the VGAs, like they got Best Family Game, which is like such a weird category. It's like, it's like okay, well, like, but Zelda's not in there. That's kind of a family game, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I expected
horses die in that game. It's not a family game.
True.
It's too much. Yeah. Well. Anyway, let's take a break and then we'll get into uniting forums and giant pink whips and stuff like that. So yeah, because of the number of our episodes, Jeremy insisted that we did 101 for this.
That was me?
Yeah, you were the one. You insisted that we do an episode of Wonderful 101, and because I knew that none of us had actually played all the way through the game, but had an idea of it, I wanted to have a guest on the show who knew something about it, and Justin responded to the NBC group, and I watched his video review, and I liked the video review, and I was like, yeah, he seems to know what he's talking about, so we'll have him on, and plus you were able to work with our late time recording and all that, so it worked really well. Anyway, yeah, that's our topic. Is we're going to talk about the wonderful 101, which is like I said before, thanks to watching your video and revisiting it a second time, I actually enjoyed it a lot more, and it's a really, really good game. It's I don't know if they're going to bring it to Switch. I mean, I'm sure they will. I mean, why not? They bring everything to Switch nowadays. I won't double dip on it because I have my Wii U hooked up and all that, but it'd be nice for other people too. It's kind of how I feel about that. Where to start on this? Well, why don't you do you want to talk about it first here?
Well, one thing I want to say is I'm glad what you say about my review kind of clearing things up for you, and like the comparison to Bayonetta helping you kind of understand the game a little better, because I did other video reviews after that video review, but that was the first one I did for my channel, and I was so passionately upset reading other reviews on the game and blatantly realizing like these scores are happening because these critics they don't have enough time to really understand the game. And because I said it earlier, but even me, like I would like not have given that game the time it needed if it wasn't for the Wii U droughts that we always had, especially at that time. It was pretty early in the Wii U's life cycle, and I even remember like I would say like I was like a good 8 hours, maybe even 10 hours in it, and I was just telling myself, I'm like, this game is just not clicking with me. Like but I still felt like obligated to just keep trying. And I remember like, just by like the 15 hour mark, like it just clicked and started to make sense. And once I realized like I need to stop thinking about this game as like other games or like other action games and completely commit to the idea of like, this is something completely new. I need like what was the developer intending? Like how did they want me to think when playing this game? And once I went into it with that mindset, it just all came together. And it was really important to me that I just get the voice out there like, hey, this is a great game and it's going to take you a long time to understand why it's great. It is not a game that you could pick up and understand. It is not a game you could pick up and it is not intuitive in that way, in any way, shape, or form. And it's unfortunate that it's not, because there is a beautiful, wonderful game hidden in the complication and just mess and just the concept alone. It's like Pikmin cross Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, just like crazy concept. But just once you understand it, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean the game is fucking great. Like I was gonna see if you remembered any specific reviews in particular, because I remember reading a few that were like, they didn't understand what it was, and then by the time they figured out what it was, they didn't really care anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I that's going back a couple years. I can't remember any specific reviews, but I remember like, especially because, like I was also saying earlier, like it's just a game that like, even like the first boss you face like is just on the most ridiculous epic scale, and you're just like, well, what can top that? And this game has a way of just pushing the bar past what you even thought was possible in terms of just like scale and like ridiculousness. And it's a game that just, as you get deeper and deeper into it, like once you think you've seen it all, it just throws curveballs at you that are just like, and it's a game that like it just gets so much better as you get into it. And I could, by reading some of these reviews, I remember back then, I was just like, you gave up way too early. And you're a critic, you probably have a bunch of other games you need to review. I get it, because this is a game that you need to like give it your time in order for it to really just kind of marinate and understand. So like I was just frustrated. Like I saw so many like 6s. I'm like, this is like a 9 like minimum for me. Like it's so good. I could just keep ranting about like it really is something that you have to really just kind of forget other games for a moment when you're learning it.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, since you said it took you like 15 hours to figure out like how the game worked, did you like go back and start from the beginning again, or like go back to the previous levels and try to get like better medals and all that in the levels? Like now that you had figured out how the game works or how the game is supposed to be played?
I didn't start a new file, but I definitely went back to get those platinum trophies, because I think that's something all or most platinum games really benefit from. It's very easy to just go back and try and perfect, the perfect combo in like a perfect level and something. And just one thing I want to add real quick is I think another reason I praise Wonderful 101 so highly is, I'm someone that really believes that, video games are unique compared to other media, like, when you look at movies or, music, like, where it's interactive. And so because of that, like, I personally enjoy when a game takes full advantage of the fact that, you could put me in, a world that is completely not possible. Like, obviously, like, like a Call of Duty game could be fun and I can have my enjoyment, but it's still in some way, shape, or form, like, grounded in reality. So, like, and that's the reason why I'm a Nintendo fan. Like, I would rather play a game that it puts me in a world that cannot possibly exist. And for that reason, that's why the Wonderful 101 is wacky in a way that it just cannot even be explained. You're combining hundreds of human bodies to become a giant hammer to smash over a like cybernetic dragon. It's like, what is going on here? I love it. It's it's just that kind of ridiculousness that I'm just like, this is like, it really embraces the fact that it's a video game and it never takes itself seriously. It's always making fun of itself, which I think only adds to the enjoyment of the game. Like even Wonder Red, like the main leader of the group, like, later on in the game, he is basically like just a joke on anime characters that shout out the names of their attacks before they attack. And like there's some points later on in the game where like he's for like a full minute being like super hyper comet overlord galaxy finale, and everyone's like Wonder Red, come on, like the boss is walking away. And like like there's like moments like that. I'm like, this game completely understands its humor, and I love it for that.
No, it's at the beginning, like what I've played is with Wonder Red, like they keep making fun of him because he's only been on the team for like a day and he's already a leader. Like I thought that was really funny. The game opens up with him. He's a teacher and he rescues this like school bus train thing filled with kids. And then all of a sudden he becomes the leader of this team that he's never been a part of before. And every time like you find a new character, like a new ability or whatever, they always like make fun of him. They're like, why is this novice the leader? Like he's only the team for like a day. Like what the fuck? So that was funny. And another thing when you're talking about how crazy the game is and how like not realistic it is. I mean, there's a gun that you have that shows that it's shooting bullets made out of your teammates.
Like you're literally shooting human bodies at these robots, and it's great.
So it's like, wow, that's insane. Yeah, because right when you get to the fat French dude or whatever that has like the food on his face all the time, like when I forget it's Wonder Green, but I forget like what his real name is.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Uter from The Simpsons. Like Uter, like the big
yeah.
chocolate and all that. Yeah.
So I think one reason why the game doesn't kind of show itself off well initially is it's obviously an action game. It's it's a platinum game, and that's what they do best. And I think it's very easy, like you have this weird isometric camera angle, and you have like hundreds of little people. And it's very easy to, like, when you first look at this game, to just be overwhelmed with what's on screen. Like, it's all colorful. You got 100 little guys running around. You're like, what? I'm creating shit. And for anyone who is watching or listening and doesn't know anything about the game, basically what happens is, think Pikmin, where you're controlling 100 little people. And you're based on shapes that you draw either on the touchpad or with the analog stick, you put them into different shapes. So drawing a circle makes them into a giant fist, and then you could just punch a giant robot. Or making like a right angle turns them into a gun. But the interesting part is the bigger shape you make, the more people you use to make that weapon. So like, if I make a tiny circle, I will only use 20 of my 100 people to make a small fist. Whereas if I make a giant circle, I can make a gargantuan fist of all 100 people, but and it obviously will do more damage. But when you get really good at the game, you could actually make two weapons at once. So I could be like, oh, I'm going to designate 70 people to this sword and have a gun made of 30 people that is going to focus on this guy over here. And now I got two different combos going on. And I'm controlling both at the same time. And that's when like the real deep mechanics of just when it starts to click. That's when it starts to all come together. That you're like, oh wait, no. Like it's very easy in the beginning to be like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. Just fist, punch, sword. I don't know what's happening. But once you really understand like the whole concept of like, wait, what do I need here? I need 50 guys doing this, and I need 40 guys doing that, and I have 10 left over. They're going to be like kind of protecting me and all that stuff. It's definitely overwhelming. It's definitely overwhelming.
So you can multitask then? Like I haven't gotten that far in the game, but I was reading I Want to Ask. So they did one on Platinum and they did one on Wonderful 101. And they kind of spoiled it in the interview that you would have two morph unites or whatever, and the guys actually said it before the game came out, and I was like, wow, I haven't gotten that far yet, but that's insane. Like what you were saying, like dividing the troops to do different stuff, that's pretty crazy. But you can multitask it like Pikmin, where like you send one guy over here and another guy over here.
So I mean, I don't remember what they call it in the game, but basically there's this attack where you know, you kind of lunge all of your people, like you know how like in Pikmin, we like you could have used the C stick to kind of like hoard the Pikmin around Olimar a little bit. Like they kind of have something like that where like you can have a couple of your guys just kind of latch onto an enemy, and it'll just like use like 5 of your 100 guys. And once you do that, if you make a shape, if you hit a particular button instead of the attack button, basically the AI on its own creates that shape and will go towards whatever enemy has a couple of your guys latched onto it already. And then you could designate a completely new shape to do whatever you want. And like it's doing its own thing over there. So it's like a combination of multitasking, but like, you know, you have less control on that second weapon and you have more control on your main weapon that you're focusing on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you know, one of the, you know, probably the most important, especially for combo potential morphs that you get, is the bomb, and it's the last one that you get. It's a time bomb that actually slows down time for anyone that's stuck in it. So one thing that is always super useful is to always have the AI-controlled weapon be the time bomb, because it'll just drop it in front of me and be like, and I'm in the middle of a crazy combo with my sword, and I'll be like, oh, you know, while I'm still doing the combo, like, oh, drop a little quick time bomb, and I haven't even stopped anything with my sword, and then mid-combo while they're frozen, I'm like, all right, now let's make a gun and bazooka you into the air. All right, now I'm going to take my whip and slam you on the floor. And it's a game that like just really tests your reflexes, and once you really understand it, like after like you get a platinum like and you get no hits and like just a perfect run, like you feel like an organic team of heroes. Like it doesn't feel like you're playing as one character. When you really understand the game, you feel like just like this hive mind of creatures, and it's so fun. I can't think of any other game, like even though it does sort of play like Bayonetta, it has its equivalent of Witch Time, where like, oh, you dodge at the last second, everything's slowed down. Like it has all of that, but it's also so much its own thing, and I really think that's why I'm so passionate about it. Like, I think it's so easy for action games of this caliber to kind of fall into the same kind of rhythms, and this game does not do that. Slightly, but then just goes completely in its own way, which I really love for that.
Yeah, I like it so much more than Bayonetta, just because, well, I'm more into the comic book stuff than whatever weird witch thing Bayonetta is, because I like Bayonetta, but like the story is always like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, I don't understand any of this really, but whatever. But at least like Wonderful 101 like kind of plays on like the superhero tropes and that sort of thing, and that's kind of more like I grew up reading comics and all that, so that's kind of more in my wheelhouse or whatever. That I'm more into seeing guys in masks run around than ladies that have beasts come out of their hair and all that, which is super cool. But you know, I enjoy the story on Wonderful 101 a lot more, and it does totally do. There's like so much stuff that, like I said, I played through Bayonetta 1 and most of 2 before I played this the second time, and there's so much stuff that's the same. Like, you know, like you get all the different medals for the different parts, and then you get a medal like at the end for that. That's there's like little bonus challenges that you can find, and if you don't find them, you won't get a medal for it. That's the same in Bayonetta. You know, in between every level, you can go to a shop and buy stuff, except this one's like a lot less weird, and it's not about like butterflies and lollipops and stuff like that, and characters that like talk but don't move their mouths like Bayonetta. But and there's also like you can get the dummy, which is like a fairy, so like when you die you come back to life. There's like stuff like that.
Fun fact, there's, you know, when you're playing the game, there's a lot of like optional heroes that you can recruit to your 100-man team.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics. It's a crazy way to unlock it. You could actually get Bayonetta on your 101 team.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so she's got like her own like chibi art style that is like you know, matches the game's art style. I'm like, well, this is adorable.
How about the Mad World guy? I would love to see the Mad World guy in there.
I know they have also. I'm pretty sure they have Dante from Devil May Cry as another one that you could recruit on your team.
Oh wow!
Nice.
I'd find that I would think they wouldn't be able to do that since they weren't with Capcom anymore. But I guess if they were like vague enough about it, they wouldn't come out.
Yeah, I definitely remember there's another one besides Bayonetta. Like I want to say, you know, maybe it wasn't Dante, but I feel like it was. I don't know. But I also remember that the ways to unlock them were ridiculous, because that game gets incredibly hard, and especially when you're playing on the higher difficulties. And I remember after I completed the game on hard and then unlocked very hard and then beat on very hard, I unlocked 101% hard, which is just ridiculous. I don't think I could even beat like the third mission on with that. I'm like, all right, I've done enough.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like Mad World, that's like if you ever played Mad World on hard mode and you're like dying in the tutorial, like that's basically what.
Yeah, that's literally this game.
You go for like the hard mode. It would be really cool if Jack was in there with the chainsaw and all that. But do you remember what weapon Bayonetta has? She'd have to have like the gun or something, right? Like.
Well, the way the game works is like when you're recruiting these people, it's really just a novelty that she's there. Like because again, you're just combining her into one of the many shapes and weapons that you're like using everyone else to combine into. It's really not any benefit to getting her. It's literally just a novelty. Like, hey, look, Bayonetta's in there. Like, she's not really adding anything combat-wise to the game.
But when you unlock like the different, because you know like when you draw circles around like random like villagers and stuff that are saying help, whatever. Like most of the time you do that, you'll unlock a character. Like I said earlier, like my nickname, Wonder Kabuki. That's like a guy that you get. That's a Kabuki guy. But if you tap the screen, you can actually switch him as to be your front man, and each characters still have the weapon. Like you know, you use like the sword or the gun or the whip or whatever, and there's a little icon next to them that shows that what it is, and you can actually put them in the front of your line and see them walk around and all that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they assign Bayonetta as just like generic gun type. Like I don't think she adds anything like unique to the game. Like I think there's like certain classes that everyone falls into.
Yeah, no, I figured she didn't. I was just wondering like, because she has a multitude of weapons in Bayonetta, so I was like, would they make her like the gun person, or would they make her like a whip person, or like a sword person? You know, they would have.
Well, keep in mind, One Full 101 was before 2, and I really feel like Bayonetta 2 was when they started to thrive on the idea of Bayonetta having multiple weapons. Like Bayonetta 1 really focused a lot more on her having like obviously like her wicked weave hair, but besides that, mostly her guns.
Yeah, and also like another thing I thought of as similarities for 101 to Bayonetta is like that one level where there's the Orochi. They call it the Orochi, but it's spelled differently. But it basically looks like King Ghidorah from Godzilla. It's 3 heads, and you're like flying through the city, and like you jump on the I think all the different like planes come around, and like you jump on the planes and all that. There's a level in Bayonetta that's like very much like that, like similar thing where you're you're fighting a big beast with 3 heads, and jump from like one building to another. And it's like, in Bayonetta 2, I think it's even on the demo for like the Wii U, the Wii U one, because I remember you fighting this giant, huge city, flying through the air, crazy thing where you jump from another thing to another. So, totally reminded me of that. And I love how ridiculous this game is. Like, it's very much like I'm gonna pick up this building and like throw the whole building at you. Like they do that, like fighting scenes. Like it's insane. Like
it absolutely like I don't want to spoil anything, but. If anyone here isn't planning to finish the game, do yourself a favor and just look at what the final battle is. And it has to have one of the funniest, but like just over-the-top endings I've ever seen in a video game. I remember like literally struggling to like hold it. I'm like, is this actually happening right now? It's just absolutely... When you think it couldn't do anything more, and then that scene happens, I'm like, this is real life. I can't believe this has to be one of the greatest games I've ever played.
Right. That's one of the reasons that I would hope that it would get a re-release on Switch, just so more people can experience it, because the Switch is so hot now. Not that I would re-buy it again because I already have it, but for other people, they should play it. I mean, they're re-releasing Bayonetta 1 and 2 and 3 now. You might as well. And I would really, I was thinking about it, I was like, I would love to see Wonderful 101 in Smash Brothers. Like,
man, when they were doing that Smash ballot, trust me, my number 1 vote was Wonder Red, so.
That would be so cool.
I would rather they do like a super version of the Ice Climbers and have all 100 characters combined in Smash Brothers. That would be really interesting.
Awesome.
Well, it'd be cool.
As a playable character, you mean, not as a...
Right.
Well, yeah, and you could switch your different weapons. You could have like the gun and the whatever. I mean, that would be. I really would love. I would love to see an amiibo too. Like a Wonderful 101 amiibo would be awesome.
Like this big.
Just
spend way too much money on that.
Kind of like the Pikmin one, but just like a circle and just like you see the little bodies and maybe have a little gun come out of it or something like that. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I am curious, like, whether you've played only a little or none at all, like, just your opinions of what you've seen or like what you've heard about the game, or just what everyone else thinks about the game in general.
Sure. Well, I've played. My only experience with it, I got a little bit of a demo. I've talked about it before. I went to a Nintendo event at Comic-Con about 5 years ago, and one of the games that they had there was Wonderful 101. And I think that game left the biggest impression on me. It's the first time I ever played the Wii U, and it helped me to see the utility of the gamepad and the dual screen concept.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that left the biggest impression on me, I had kind of the opposite impression that it seems like you had. Where I was instantly taken with it because I love anything that's like colorful and wacky and with a lot of Japanese style to it, like that insane anime, Katamari Damacy, one of my top favorite games. You tell me about a game like that, and I'm going to go play it. And I'd never heard of a concept where 100 different individual characters with unique personalities all come together and do all these crazy things. I wanted the game like right away.
Yeah. Awesome. I do like, again, just in case someone has not like seen this game, like, and like are just listening to like what we're saying the mechanics are. Basically, what their powers are is picture the Green Lantern and how he can make shapes, but those shapes are made of people. Like that. Yeah. That's basically what this is.
Yeah, and he doesn't need his willpower to keep them together. Which I guess if you make a giant hand, it only stays for like so long.
Yeah, he also doesn't need a suit made of CGI.
He's also not afraid of the color yellow.
Yeah.
You get on that. But how many different things do you get? Like I'm to the point where I got pink, but there's more than that, I'm sure, right? You said there's a time bomb.
Yes. Like, so there, Wonder Red, he gives you the fist. There's the sword. There's the gun. There's the hammer, which you need to use to take down to break like armor. The whip, which lets you pull away shields. There's the time bomb. There's claws, and a lot of enemies will kind of like clamp up, and you have to use the claws to like open up their weak spot. And all of these weapons have elemental properties. So the fist is fire. The sword is electric. The gun is explosive. The hammer, I forgot what that one was. I know that the whip is like spiny, has thorns on it, and the claws are snow and ice, and the time bomb is, again, time. I'm trying to think if there's another one I'm forgetting besides that, but I don't think so. I think that's all of the main ones.
Yeah.
But again, to combine all of these in all sorts of different ways, like, especially once you get good at the game, like, you use the hammer to stun someone, then, use the sword to, like, slice them into the air, and then shoot them with the gun, and then take the whip and slam them down, and then time bomb them, and do all sorts of other crazy stuff, and slam two robots together, and throw a building on their head. Like, it's just crazy.
I want to say one of the big complaints I did have with it was and maybe you did too, was I don't know if you played it Pro Control or like the regular giant, whatever you call it, but I played it mostly with the boat, as I would call it, the Wii pad, and when you go inside the buildings and you have to play stuff on it.
Yeah. That was never the greatest. Yeah, I would definitely say that was one of the few complaints I had about the game. But at the same time, it was also early in the Wii U's life cycle, and it felt like they needed to justify, besides touchscreen, stuff like, hey, look, you could look inside the gamepad, and that's why the gamepad exists. And it felt very forced, and I understood why I was there, but yeah, it was definitely one of my complaints.
I mean, it's fine. It's just the whole like gyro camera was really what drove me crazy. Because you have to like hold it super still, and if you move it at all, like you can't see where the characters are. And there's actually a lot of stuff where you have to look at the pad and the TV at the same time, and line it up to like unlock certain doors and stuff like that. And that was kind of like, it's like, oh god,
it was Star Fox Zero before Star Fox Zero.
It was, and they did that one too, fucking platinum. So
I know, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Wonderful too. They better have Fox in there as a fucking playable character with his gun.
Do any of you remember, like, for some reason this just reminded me of this, but very, very early on in the Wii U, like when the Wii U was first announced, they released a video. Basically, a guy gets a hold of his friend and is like, I need you to help me beat this. And he, like, sets up the Wii pad with the camera facing, and, like, his friend watches him play the game through the gamepad, and it's using it almost like a Skype sort of thing, which never happened. But that was like,
I vaguely remember.
This was like, because Wonderful 101 obviously was like when they were justifying the gamepad, and like I remember that being like a huge thing. Like, holy shit! Like, you're gonna be able to like get a hold of your friend who also has a Wii U, and they can watch you play games through the gamepad, which never happened. But that just came back to me right now.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I can think of a bunch of times where Nintendo kind of were like, "Look what you'll be eventually able to do," and it never came. But I think that's just, it happens with all sorts of products.
Of course, it does.
I always wanted there to be. Well, you remember I always wanted the 2 where we could play a game with 2 gamepads. Remember that was the thing. It's like, man, that'll be cool, right? That never happened. But I know how you could like. We actually tried doing where you like call your friend and talk on like a FaceTime type thing. Never worked. I tried it a bunch of times. I remember Jesse tried to call me on his Wii U like when I first got one. We tried calling her brother like with the Wii U, like we couldn't get it to work either. So like we tried to do the video chat, but it never worked. But yeah, that was stuff that they were pushing at the time. And I would have been fine with everything else. Just the gyro camera was just really what really bothered me with Wonderful 101 for that stuff. But I still love the hell out of the game, and I guess I'd really like to see it. I'd really like to see it like get a re-release just for other people to experience it, other than just me, because I'm definitely going to play through the rest of it. Like, you totally sold me on it, and I've only played through like a third of it, and I really want to see more.
I'll start playing it tomorrow.
Nice.
When I get it, it's supposed to come in the mail tomorrow. It's at my post office right now, according to the tracking.
I hope they didn't. How much did you get it for? Like, how much is it going for nowadays?
I got it for $13, but it's $30.
Oh wow!
To buy it new.
Okay, because they're saying it's $30 digitally, like on the eShop. You can get it there still.
Yeah, I got it for $13 with free shipping, so I was like, that's a good deal. I'm definitely going to buy it for that. And I get the physical game with the case and everything.
What was your impression of it, Jeremy? Like, did you
the demo?
No, I mean of the. Like we were saying, originally when you saw it, like, what did you think it was? Like, when it was first coming around, like what Justin asked to.
I mean, it looked like. Well, I guess I didn't equate it to Bayonetta or Devil May Cry at the time, but yeah, it looked like a melee Pikmin. That's kind of how I always thought of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it made me happy because I was like, they're gonna do a bunch of stuff with like going all the way back to Mario 128 or whatever, where Nintendo showed they could have all the Marios in the demo, like, and then that didn't really happen in any game until Pikmin. But since then, Wonderful 101's the only game that's been like, here's a bunch of characters on screen at once that you're all controlling. Like, I think that's a cool concept. I'd like to see that in more games. And I do look forward to playing this game for sure, like, for real.
Good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. You should try to stick with it for as long as you can.
I still have Zombie U. It's another early Wii U game I bought that I still haven't even booted up, but I own it.
Zombie, yeah. I bought that for $6 at Best Buy. They had it.
Wow.
I paid like $4 or $5 for it tops.
I also there was a big Wii U sale at Best Buy, and I bought Zombie U and Ninja Gaiden 3 for $6 each.
Oh wow.
So I think I played more of Ninja Gaiden than Zombie. Zombie U is okay. It's just it's fine. It's another like weird game that's like kind of just being weird for the sake of weird, I guess, for the Wii U.
To justify the controller and everything, yeah.
It's fine. I mean, my biggest problem with it was that it looked like ass. Like the graphics are so bad in that game that it kind of ruins a lot of it for me. I don't know why it has to look like somebody smeared like poo all over this camera.
I know exactly what you mean. One thing I want to say real quick about the Wonderful 101, and it'll connect into kind of speaking a little more about Platinum in general, is one thing I always found interesting was I remember reading interviews as the game's coming out, and I don't know the specifics of it, but based on like the deal that Nintendo and Platinum made with this game it is very much so a Nintendo IP and a Nintendo owned thing that like even though Platinum like made this game, like theoretically if Nintendo wanted to do something with this franchise without Platinum, they're technically allowed to because they're technically the ones that owned the Wonderful 101. Granted, they would never do that. I'm sure if a sequel were to ever happen, which I don't see happening considering how poorly the game performed. But it just reminds me of, time and time again, it's very clear that Platinum and Nintendo have created this close bond where you have the Wonderful 101 happen and you have them, hey, even though Bayonetta didn't do that well, we will fund you to make Bayonetta 2. Oh, look, that didn't do too well either. Hey, let's release it on Switch and we'll give you money to make Bayonetta 3. And like time and time again, here we have Nintendo who normally is not known for taking risks like this. And they just seem to really believe in this company. Hey, here's this franchise we don't know what to do with, Star Fox. Here, we're going to give it to you guys. And I just feel like time and time again, I expect Nintendo to be like, this isn't working. You're losing us money. We're not doing any more collaborations. But Nintendo keeps going back to them. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Are they going to make Metroid?
That would be pretty sweet.
That'd be cool.
Well, it'd make it a lot more of an action game than it actually is, which I don't know, could be good. Who knows? I mean, I was gonna say, like, do you think that's what they did with Rare? Like, how they kind of abandoned them? Was it because they weren't? Because I would say that Nintendo definitely is all about taking risks. I mean, most of the stuff they do is only makes sense to them,
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Let me better phrase what I meant. Like, obviously, yes, they do take risks. They're the main company out there, especially console maker, that will take risks. But what I mean is, when it comes to, they look at sales numbers a lot, and when a certain franchise isn't selling well, like it takes them sometimes a very long time to get the courage to try and make that franchise come back. Look at what happened with Metroid. Metroid doesn't sell well, unfortunately. Like it does not get the sales numbers that they want to see. And there's a reason that we had to wait so long for Samus Returns. And even Star Fox. Star Fox never gave them the sales numbers they would like to see. So it doesn't, like in their eyes as a company, and never justified to, take all the resources and money and manpower and time to make another Star Fox game if you're not going to make that money back. Pokemon always makes money. Mario always makes money. Zelda always makes money. It makes sense to pump these games out periodically. And these collaborations with Platinum always felt like the one exception where they're like, these are constantly not profitable, and yet you keep funding them. Like they really believe in this company, and I just find it really cool because that's like, obviously they take risks. They're always pushing the industry forward and being very innovative. But when it comes to individual properties and franchises, they're very, very like careful on like, hey, this last one didn't do too well. I don't know if we want to try and do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that they do because I know that Platinum's had a pretty rocky past. Like do you ever play like God Hand? I mean,
Yes.
like that or like it or whatever. But they've always made like crazy creative projects, but they don't always really go that well. Like I don't think Bayonetta 1 even sold that well when it was on like PS3 and 360 and all that. So
that's the only reason why Nintendo picked it up, because Microsoft and Sony were not, or Sega was originally the original publisher, and Sega was like, no, we did not make enough money to want to do this again, and they went to a bunch of different companies, and all their companies were like, nope, no, we saw the sales numbers, like that's not good enough, and Nintendo was the only company, and that's why a lot of die-hard Bayonetta fans get all butthurt that it's only on Nintendo consoles now, but it was either have it on Nintendo or it was going to die completely.
Yeah.
That's how I played. I played it, on Xbox originally. That's the only way I've ever played it, was on the 360. And so I was actually really shocked that Nintendo wanted something that mature on their consoles, but they continue to pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was it, where they kind of just needed each other.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sell so well on the other ones. Nintendo needed a mature game, and I also think it seems like the Platinum games that have come out on Nintendo platforms have all been pretty good games. I mean, if you look at like Mad World, that was a great game. The Bayonetta games that came out, I haven't played those, but it seems like people like them. The ones that came out on Wii U and hopefully Bayonetta 3. What are some of the Platinum games that came out on Nintendo stuff?
Well, go back to like GameCube, like in the Capcom deal, because these guys used to work like Clover and like Capcom,
Sure.
that, and even like 101 like brings me back to like Beautiful Joe, like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Beautiful Joe, right?
Beautiful Joe was supposed to originally be a GameCube exclusive with like Resident Evil 4 and like Killer 7 and Piano 3 and like all those games. It was that like way back when, so that must have been probably when they first started talking, was when whatever Capcom 7 or whatever it was called, like when they were going to do all the exclusives for GameCube. I'm sure you guys remember that, right?
Sure, I remember that. Capcom 5, yep.
Yeah, the Capcom 5.
Mhm.
So I mean, probably when they started doing it, but because then there was like then there was Okami. There was that was the Platinum guys also under Clover before Platinum became a thing. Before they ended that studio, and that lost money too. Apparently, like not enough people bought that game either. But I don't know. It's they've
Well,
always,
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say they've always put out pretty good
Video games.
stuff from what I've seen. Like even
They were
back
involved with Nier Automata or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Which I haven't played that game, but that's like one of those like critically acclaimed games from this past year.
Yeah, I really want to play that game, but I don't really have the time to. But I want. Well, considering you have to beat it like 6 times to get all the stuff out of it, I don't know if I'd have enough time for that. But they also apparently the main guys even worked on like Resident Evil 2, like as far back
Yeah.
from what I saw from reading the I Want to Ask stuff with those guys. Like they've been around for a while. But yeah, they've always done interesting products, and I was a huge fan of Beautiful Joe. I even have Beautiful Joe bobblehead back there somewhere. You can see it.
I love Beautiful Joe.
Great game.
It was a
I love
wonderful
it.
game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was a beautiful game.
There was a sequel. There was a sequel on GameCube, well, and on other systems too. But wasn't there also a DS Beautiful Joe? I never played it, but
I have it. Yes, I have
have
that.
it?
This game.
I had too. Yeah, it was crazy. It was the only DS game that did 3D on both screens at the same time. It's like super ballsy, and it was great. Yeah, I really loved that. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, like that they did a DS version of it even, and it looked fucking great. It looked almost as good as the GameCube one. As far as like DS could do. It got as close as it could without being, that powerful.
Yeah. And I think that the art style that Beautiful Joe has, like, makes that possible. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you could even say that Wonderful 101 is like it's like a bunch of little Beautiful Joes. They very much have that, especially in the face with like the mask and like the wide eyes and all that. They very much look like.
Oh yeah, and like literally straight out of Beautiful Joe. Anytime you're facing a boss, they do this crazy animation. He has like the ching, and he has like his mask, like chin guard comes on, and Beautiful Joe had that too. I was like, this is great. It brought back so much nostalgic for me.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you sure Beautiful Joe isn't an extra character in there? Because I'd be really surprised.
You know what? He's got to be. He's got to be. I'm pretty sure there's 3. I'm pretty sure there's 3 like random past mascot characters that like you can unlock in some way. Yeah, he's got to be one of them.
He would have been a great character in Smash Brothers also, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you would have to try to figure out a way. He'd have to be kind of like how Flash is in like the Injustice games. If you played any of those, you'd have to find a way for him to be able to slow time like how he did in the game. Against I get the power up you used in the game, but you'd have to figure that in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Platinum games that I was looking forward to, that from the reviews turned out to be not such a great game, was their Ninja Turtles game.
Oh, yeah.
It was Ninja.
Oh yeah, I
What was
forgot
the
about
full
that.
title? Ninja Turtles Out of the Sewer or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I heard they were doing it, I was like, awesome. The guys who did Mad World, which is one of the best beat 'em up games ever since beat 'em ups went 3D.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a Ninja Turtles game, which was my favorite beat 'em up from the NES era. I thought that was like a marriage made in heaven. And some of the reviews were like in the 3s and 4s. And
Oof.
so I wonder what happened to it. Have you guys played that game?
My roommate played it a little bit. I haven't played it myself. I played the. Did they do both of the Transformers games or just the last one?
I'm not sure.
I played one of the early 3D Transformer games, and I really liked that one. But I think they did the last one.
Yeah, they did the last one. They also did a Legend of Korra game.
I didn't play any of those.
Yeah, I haven't played any of those either. I know they did do it.
Was that an anime property, Legend of Korra, or what is?
I'm not sure. I just know that I just know that the game existed. I know my friend got it. Yeah, that's all I know.
I didn't recognize the name, so I wasn't sure. It sounded like it been. But yeah, I'm interested. Like, especially now that we've seen their the Nintendo, continuing support for them and doing Bayonetta 3. I honestly really would not be surprised if 101 does come to the Switch.
I hope so. That game deserves a second chance at life.
Well, when you see the opening of the game, it does like straight up say like Nintendo, like before it shows Platinum. So it was that game was very much a collaboration between the two of them. So why not? The Switch is like, it's kind of at the point right now where it's like, hey, put whatever game you want to sell on the Switch because it's probably going to sell way better than
It'll happen.
Sold on its last system. Like you've heard about it, the indies like selling way more on Switch than they ever did on Steam or like PS3 or anything or PS4 or anything like that. So. I mean, I would be really surprised if they didn't do that, if they ended up bringing it over. I mean,
yeah, I have to think you're going to see basically every quality Wii U game ported to Switch. I mean, they've already put the bulk of the investment money into it. Why not just turn it around for, I don't know, it can't be that much to do a port from Wii U to
I've
Switch.
actually heard like the architecture is completely different for how the two systems are programmed. But
Oh, is it?
I'm sure they are, yeah. But I mean,
it's still like it's still a property ready to go. Like you're converting it instead of developing it from the ground up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering if like 3D World or like new Super Mario U will ever make it to there. But I mean,
to be honest, I would expect Captain Toad Treasure Tracker before those two games.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was another one that I keep forgetting about. That was a great.
That was a sleeper, and like I think it would do really well on the Switch because it's built to be like a little. I mean, it's built to be a portable game. I think it feels. Good
I agree.
Portable.
Yeah.
Oh sure, yeah, it's bad to be played on the pad.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you want to say about Wonderful 101? I mean, we're getting kind of long in the episode, but it's hard to like cover all of it without saying like I don't want to necessarily say everything that's in the game, but it is sort of spoilery. It's the game's. As what? How old? Like 4 years probably since it came out.
Yeah.
2012. So yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys want to know about it, or that you'd like to mention about it before?
I look forward to learning more about it tomorrow when it comes in the mail.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're excited to play it, and
I am.
Hopefully this inspires other people to play because it's. Like I've stressed before, it's really a game that like I'm glad that you like straight from the demo, from the little bit that you played. But I definitely think it's a game that for most people, it's just like, what is this colorful mess on screen? Like, what is going on? There's explosions and there's dodging and it's very easy to be like, I don't have the time to learn this. But let me just say, if you put the time in, you are going to, get one of the most fluid and satisfying combat systems ever. It's a combat system that makes you feel incredibly intelligent. Like when you perfectly dodge something or perfectly form something at the right time, you just you feel smart and it just feels good. To really just the best concise way to just kind of understand what the game is, I think, I'm not even trying to just plug my own thing, but I do think my video review really concisely kind of explains why the game is as good as it is.
For sure. I wanted to ask you as a strategy thing towards the game, is there a specific item that you should get that'll like in a Beautiful Joe, you want to get the thing that refills your bar quicker and that makes the game a lot easier. It's very much like Bayonetta's like that too, where they show you a lot of things that are 300,000 and 500,000 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is there one item that you should just ultimately save for at the very beginning of the game?
I would say, I'm trying to think back to the different items, but so definitely the tombstone. So basically, the right trigger you use to dodge as a spring, and the left trigger you turn into a mold of gelatin to deflect attacks. And when you're in the air, if you buy this power up and you hit both triggers, you basically become down B Kirby and just smash to the floor. And there are so many combos you're going to be doing in the air that is a necessity to just smash anyone that's underneath you. So I would say that one, number one. Actually, no, that's number two, because you have to actually purchase the slowing down time for dodging something. Like you have to purchase witch time. It is not part of the game unless you purchase it. So that's the most important.
Yeah, I
So
don't have.
you got to purchase that, get the tombstone, and then my third one is you can get a power up where anytime you dodge as the spring, you leave a landmine on the ground. I think that's the next best one.
Oh wow. Yeah, I got the one where you can turn into the Metroid ball and like move around, but I don't have a, where you take everybody and get into a ball. Like it's like the next version of the spring one, and then you can like morph ball around. Yeah, I didn't realize that because I did where you would because when you do the guts, like if they ever attack you in the guts, that puts them at a disadvantage. So when I would combo them, but I never actually got to the witch time stuff. So definitely have to get that. So yeah, for hopefully the people that listen to this, I mean, I'm sure if you have a Wii U, if not, get one and play this game. Worth it. It's a great game. I mean, if it inspired anybody to get into it, there's some good strategy stuff for going into it there. But if you guys don't have anything to say more about this, we can call it an episode.
Sounds good to me.
That's good. Okay. This has been our episode 101. We had our special guest, Justin Vega. And which is like the coolest last name of all time. Like you have
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm literally a Street Fighter character. It's great.
Well, and it's a fucking star in the Orion, right next to Beetlejuice.
Oh yep. There's so many references, but I mean, come on. Like as a gamer, obviously I'm going to go to referencing a Street Fighter character first.
Of course, yeah. Why don't you give a plug again for your YouTube and like what you've been doing? Do you have a blog too, or is it just a YouTube?
That email only exists because I originally planned to do a blog, but no, a blog doesn't exist. But yeah, World 9 Gaming, spelled just as no spaces, just spelled like that. And again, like I'm hoping to hopefully as I'm getting towards the end of my college career, so hopefully I'm gonna have more time soon to make YouTube videos again. It's kind of just like a little side hobby, but like I post video reviews whenever I have the time, and all sorts of other little mini creations like my Mario Maker levels and stuff. And, especially anytime in the future, if Nintendo makes any sort of thing that I can create, I will be all over YouTube with that game. I can promise you that.
Nice. Is your college, is that related to YouTubing at all? Like, what are you studying?
Oh, actually, yeah, no. I'm actually going to school for mathematics to be a math teacher.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just curious if you were doing like a video editing or anything like that.
Yeah, no, but I did take some classes to help in my, just like for like the enjoyment of it.
Oh, okay. It's like I was a film student before I started this podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I like an audio mixer, so that's where all my podcast recording stuff comes from. It's from doing.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, this has been our episode 101, and we're hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
Jeremy Mikowski.
John Ditter.
And thanks again, Justin, for coming on. We very much appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Justin.
Check out his YouTube channel. That's 9 not spelled out, right? That's the name.
Oh yes. So World 9 Gaming. I wanted it to sort of reference Mario, and I was like, Mario games usually have 8 worlds, so we're gonna call this World 9 instead.
Nice. I think Mario 2 did, the original one.
The original did.
Japanese one. Anyway, yeah, you can catch us at Nintendomainpodcast.com. You can download us from, any sort of podcast app that you have. We're on there. We have a YouTube channel as well, YouTube/FINGMATER, Pingmater. You can find all our stuff on there and whatnot. And thanks for listening. We won't be back as a full episode next week, but we'll have like a bonus Christmas thing, and then we'll be back for episode 102, the first week of January, when we give our own like best game of the year and like other categories and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thanks for listening, and catch you next week.
See you next year.
Yeah, see you later.